disrupted.
America that I fought.
Weird thing to happen. Hello, one and all. Welcome to this edition of Kitz Corner. Been a fantastic day so far. So there is an interesting video that just got surfaced of apparently Donald Trump in his golf course in New Jersey. One of his fans or supporters took video of him cruising around his golf cart, and they were speaking about the debate, his performance, how Joe Biden was, and it was an interesting conversation. And I feel like this video not only just shows Trump being Trump, like being on a golf course, cruising around his golf cart, saying what he wants to say, but I think this also just shows the likability of Trump. Even though personally myself, I still had this dislike taste for him, I can understand why people have a bit of admiration towards a character like Donald Trump. And you'll see why in a second. So this is him in New Bedminster, New Jersey, and at his golf resort. And listen to what he says about the previous debate they just had with Joe Biden. Listen to this.
What did I do with the debate the other night?
Oh,
He kicked that old broken down pile of crap.
Yeah.
It's a bad guy. He just quit, you know. He's quitting the race. Is that right? Yep, I got him out of the race. And that means we have Kamala. I think she's going to be better. She's so bad. She's so pathetic. It's so amazing. It's just so fucking bad. So I just can't imagine. But can you imagine that guy dealing with Putin and the president of China, who's a fierce person? He's a fierce man. A very tough guy, and they see him. They probably he can't. But they just announced he's probably quitting.
Good.
Okay?
Yeah, that's amazing.
Just keep knocking him out.
And there he goes. Just drives out to the sunset. This is Trump being Trump. This is just perfect. And, this is the perfect video to describe why people have likability towards this guy. Because even though he's a TV clown, even though he's part of the billionaire establishment, and there's a lot of reasons personally why I'm not favorable of him. I'm not, one of his fans or fanboys towards him. I understand why people like him. And especially in a moment like this, he's on a golf course. There's probably some press around. And when presidents, politicians, celebrities, they go out on these outings, that when they do these little stunts here, some of it looks a little rehearsed, if you will. It looks like a PR stunt. And 99.9% of the time, it is a PR stunt. Usually there's some sort of advisor next to them saying, okay, sir, you got to say it in this tone. You got to say these words and it'll be perfect. We could sell it. We could sell it all over the internet. But this is Trump being Trump. This is Trump just pulling in. There's some supporter, filming this, and he's just having the time of his life. He's just chatting like he's one of the boys. And I love the banter that goes on with this. Oh, he's just such a wreck. And then we get stuck with Kamala, and Kamala, how pathetic. What a dog piece of shit. So I get it. I get why people adore his character. Even though some of the times he is doing it because of the fact that he is Mr. TV and he's doing it for reputation. He's doing it for an audience. That's what he, for many years on his show, The Apprentice, that's for many years he's had that persona, and that's his persona throughout all this, is trying to please people. And a lot to do with business as well, because as a businessman, you'd want to try and negotiate as much as possible and bring in as much customer clientele as possible. But this is just amazing. This is just amazing that he's able to just drive up in his golf cart and just speak like a normal person. Like, how many times have you seen, when we see like George W. Bush or Barack Obama, at a golf course or at some sort of public event, and you just know it's a facade. That's a PR stunt. That this is all rehearsed. This is all done by advisors and marketing teams and PR people. And You know it's all fake. It's phony. It's BS. But this is Trump being Trump. He has no PR team with him. He's not, talking to an advisor to say those words. He's just blurring them out. Like, I had a debate with a big piece of shit. And I'm worried about Kamala Harris being the next one. This is classic.
With the debate the other night.
Oh,
He kicked that old broken down pile of crap.
Yeah.
He's a bad guy. He just quit,
Broken down
He's
pile
quitting
of
the
crap.
race. Is that right? Yep, I got him out of the race. And that means we have Kamala. I think she's going to be better. She's so bad. She's so pathetic.
She's so bad. So pathetic.
She's so fucking bad. So I just can't imagine. But can you imagine that guy dealing with Putin and the president of China, who's a fierce person? He's a fierce man. A very tough guy, and they see him. They probably he can't. But they just announced he's probably quitting.
Good.
Okay?
Yeah, that's amazing.
Just keep knocking.
And
him
then
out,
just
huh?
drives away so casually. Wow. That's awesome. That's awesome. Just drives right up, calls Biden a piece of crap, a big pile of crap. And then says that, well, if he's going to quit, then we get Kamala. And Kamala's just, she's pathetic. Pathetic woman. I mean, sadly, and I know a lot of people don't want to hear this, especially when the fact that anytime I mention Kamala Harris in any video or tweet or anything I post on the internet, I usually get a firestorm of people saying that, well, considering you're white and a guy, that makes you a misogynist and a racist, that you critique Kamala Harris. And as someone that was doing backflips and cartwheels in support of Tulsi Gabbard, who, by the way, is a woman of color and a combat veteran who was also running for president in 2020, and the DNC cheated her out. They called her a Russian asset. You had Barry Weiss go on Joe Rogan saying that she was a toady for Assad, whatever the hell that was. She didn't even know what the hell she was saying. She had Joe Rogan's assistant look it up. It was so pathetic. But the fact that, if we go down to Kamala Harris and Donald Trump, because it very much looks like that Joe Biden could be stepping aside potentially. If it does not come down to Kamala Harris and Donald Trump, who would more likely be a viable option to negotiate with countries? A businessman who is a little crazy, a little bit egomaniac, or cackle mom that Drew Barrymore lussed up next to her on her talk show and called her Mamala? Like, who is a better viable option to negotiate with leaders? I would go towards kind of the businessman, because the businessman negotiates throughout his entire life. That's his entire career, is to do negotiations. You talk to the other person, you work something out, you get something to the table, and you find an outcome for everybody. That would be a more viable option than Kamala Harris, who describes one country as big and another country as small, and then giggles when she doesn't have anything else to say. A friend in need is a friend indeed. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Kamala Harris does have a chance. So I'm going to take the benefit of the doubt. And let's see Kamala Harris in action recently when she was talking about astronauts. Like most vice presidents apparently do. They're going to have a little speech about astronauts, apparently. And this is the most Kamala Harris speech I have ever heard from Kamala Harris. You'll see why in a second. Oh boy, is it very, very fascinating. And imagine this next to the Trump. Imagine the two of them debate night on the stage, and you hear this coming out of Kamala Harris.
Which brings me to May 30th, 2020. Bob and Doug returned to the Kennedy Space Center. They suited up They waved to their families, and they rode an elevator up nearly 20 stories. They strapped in to their seats and waited as the tanks beneath them filled with tens of thousands of gallons of fuel. And then they launched. Yeah, they did.
They did. They launched. They went uppity in the air. It was so beautiful. Isn't space so fun? I almost thought for a second that she was trying to do like an Audible book there. Like, is she doing a reading for preschoolers? Like, once upon a time, there was two astronauts named Bob and Doug. They went uppity in the air. They walked out to the plank. They waved to their friends and family. They boarded the ship. And then, kabloom! They went into the stars. Oh, my God. You know, she is a very fascinating woman, Kamala Harris. I mean, you look at her history, not only as the corrupt district attorney that sent innocent people to Skid Row and to basically to death, hiding evidence. Not only that, not only using prison labor in California. Aside from all that, the fact that this particular woman, I didn't even know this at the time, but apparently when you do some research on her, it's very, very fascinating. Did you know she used to date Montel Williams, the talk show host? I didn't even know that. Apparently, her and some other woman were Montel Williams' girlfriends. Yes, he had two of them. And from there, she went from being Montel Williams' girlfriend to being the district attorney in California to being a senator to cackling her way to somehow being the vice president to the most bigoted, racist, buffoon, demented circus freak, Joe Biden, her boss, and now potentially likely could maybe be the president. There's a lot of things that spin in your mind when it comes to this. And by the way, when time comes that Joe Biden does step aside and Kamala Harris, decides to run in placement to being the president, again, I could definitely see Hillary Clinton like having a catfight brawl with her because the two of them would fight tooth and nail and attack each other to be the top woman. Like, I could definitely see that happening. It'd be a gruesome cage match between the two of them. But this is just, you see this, and you heard what Trump said, and you kind of get it. Because if this is her just talking to the regular press, this is her just talking to ordinary Americans, imagine her going around doing negotiations. Even if you don't like Trump, which personally I still don't, I still find him a viable option to negotiate with, known terrorist states or North Korea, which we saw. And I was amazed by that. I was amazed at the fact that Donald Trump, the first president to actually negotiate with North Korea to stop the potential of warfare. You never see that with any administration in the United States because the deep state wants to go to war with North Korea. They want to go to war with Russia. They want to go to war with all these countries. And Donald Trump, being the businessman that he is, being the entrepreneur, real estate tycoon, the persona that he is, he does go around the world and negotiates with other countries, which is what we should be doing. We should not be engaging in endless warfare. We should not be purging ourselves to eventual nuclear warfare. We should be deteriorating from that. We should be putting diplomacy back in the hands of people. We should be negotiating with countries so that we don't end up in horrific battles that could possibly damage all of our lives. That is something we should be doing. And do you expect that coming from Kamala Harris? Cackle Mom Harris? You expect that to have negotiations with Vladimir Putin and Kim Jong-un? Can you see that happening? Especially after that, lightning astronaut story. Wow. I feel so inspired. If I was back in, 5 or 6 years old, back in kindergarten, I would definitely enjoy that story. But I'm a grown-ass adult, and you're the vice president, and the fact that you said that out loud makes me embarrassed for you. Well, at least Drew Barrymore has your back, right? Drew Barrymore, Kamala. She'll potentially be the first female president, which I think was already happened when Joe Biden went under the knife for surgery, and people didn't know about this. So Joe Biden, when he was starting his presidency, had to go for surgery. And when you go for surgery, they put you out, they put the anesthesia on you. And when he was out, Kamala Harris immediately became president for a slight, probably 30 minutes. And I'm surprised that didn't get the media attention, glorification, liberal class chanting in glee. The fact that you got your first female president. Yes, it was during weird circumstances, the fact that Joe Biden went under the knife. But you finally got it. And it looks like you might get it again. I just wish, like I say about The View, there's a lot of great, fascinating women out there that, are courageous and smart and intelligent and wonderful and creative and inspiring to everybody. It just doesn't come from there. It doesn't come from the White House. They're not going to go onto The View. Because the people that go onto The View, they're not inspiring. They're not intelligent. They're just awful, and I feel embarrassed for them.